Hi, I'm Jason of Endless Wave Dynamics, where every week I'll be putting myself on the front line of all your creative battles. Now today I'm interviewing my good buddy Matt Elliss. He owns a successful recording studio in Doncaster, the north of England. We're going to be talking about a few things that can easily be implemented into any creative business, not just recording studios. Things like getting started by removing envy and wannabe mentality, employing yourself and being that little bit more disciplined in your actions, striking a healthy work and life balance, rest time for both you and your clients, beating out the competition by using reference sources and equipment. And now it means nothing that the skill is everything. All this packed jammed tight into a 15-minute episode. Let's hear what Matt Elliss has to say. Cheers, enjoy.
Okay, hi, my name's Matt Elliss, and I'm the producer-engineer at my studio, Axis Recording Studio here in Doncaster.
And it's a really nice studio.
Well,
It's done really well. For people to come in here and to see what you have built and hear the work that you've done and the consistency and the quality that you've sustained over so many years of time. Say just a student just leaving university, they'd see all this and they'd just be like, wow, that's just so unachievable. And it's almost like give up before you even start, right?
Well,
like,
I don't think people should look at it like that. You know, when I first started, I didn't like look at Abbey Road and think, oh, there's no point in me starting. I think part of the trouble people have these days is because of, I suppose, computers and things like that. People do want instant results, and they think they ought to be able to get something fantastic within 3 months of starting out, which is, well, if everyone could do that,
then everybody would.
Everyone would. It's not easy. I think you need to have much more patience, and it was great for me when I started because I didn't have the option of a computer or something that gave instant sort of garage band type fake professional results. I had to start off with rubbish equipment and learn how to use it and then gradually work my way up. So yeah, I don't think people should look straight away and start having that kind of weird envy of I want it to be like
because people would see this and not actually know that you came from like a real humble background setup, didn't you? You had a studio just in a converted house.
I got like a Prince's Trust grant because, you know, I'm not from a rich family or anything like that, and I got like £1,000 grant to start me off, and I bought like literally a 4-track cassette portrait studio. That's how old I am. You know,
it's to take it from being like a bedroom level and just being an amateur. What are the things that you'd identify with as being like that next step to being a professional? When you should be starting to look at it as a professional?
Well, firstly, it's a results job. To me, it's the results. If you listen back to your results and critically compare it with, again, not with the best, but with something that's on a similar par to you, and you should be trying to beat that. You know, so if there was another local studio around, I'd have found a way of getting hold of something that they'd done. I'd listen to theirs, listen to mine. If theirs is constantly better than mine, then I'd have probably thought, how are they doing that? Yeah. You know, if they've got a similar level of gear to you and they're making better results, then they're doing something better than you.
There's a reason why.
I think a lot of people just never. I think this is true for bands as well. They never critically analyze what they do. They just think it's brilliant because I did it. You know, and I think sometimes they should listen to it and then listen to something else and think, oh, shit.
So you constantly, like, even today,
always
like really critiquing yourself and like, the things never
always fighting against. Even if there's nothing else to fight against, I'll fight against the last thing I did and try and constantly beat it. I drive bands mad because they'll come back in and they'll say, oh, can we just do it? Can we, same as last time? And I'm thinking, no, we're not doing it same as last time. I've got a better idea, you know. And so it'll always be, I'm always trying something else, or I've got a new bit of gear or something. Yeah, I always compare with reference material or my own material or just something, just to check if I'm going in the right direction, really.
I think like something that I'd like to get across is like people don't realise that in music production, it's all about like you've got that kind of puzzle brain. It's like
if you're working with an amazing band, it's a challenge to make it sound amazing. If you're working with a totally shite band, it's a challenge to just make it sound decent. You know, it's always
part of our job to always be like kind of putting together a puzzle that's probably a different puzzle than last time. Last time it's like becoming that problem solver.
Yeah, you can set the same mics up, the same setup as the last session. A different person playing the instruments, it'll sound completely different. So you yeah, there's always an element of starting again every session, I think.
Mm-hmm. How much of your success do you think it can be attributed to you having a little bit more of a business mind about it and a bit more business framed? So it's not just like your creative right brain, that you've also got this left brain that's like logical about the situation, that and it needs to be done in these certain amount of hours. We need to work to this kind of budget.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I do that, but I don't. I think I do it without thinking a bit. Yeah, I suppose because I got busier, I've had to work set hours. You know, I have to finish at 8 o'clock, so I've got some sort of life, firstly. And secondly, because I know I'll be starting again at 10 o'clock the next morning, so there's no point. I was finishing at 5 in the morning, then I'm more or less writing off the next day because we're all exhausted. Mm-hmm. So, you know, I think I keep it business like that. And also, it is my job. You know, for a lot of people, recording's a hobby, so they don't care how long they spend on it. You know, I can't afford to be like that, and it's not fair on me, or it's not fair on other customers who's coming in, you know, the next day when I've been working till 5 in the morning. So, yeah, I don't know.
It's almost like Matt Elliss employs Matt Elliss to do his work. You know what I mean?
I never really thought of it like that. Yeah, maybe.
But there's got to function that next day.
Yeah, I mean, over the last few years, I've been so busy that if I didn't keep it disciplined, I'd be a wreck now. You know, I'd have nervous exhaustion or something. You know, because I had that many things day after day after day. So yeah, you have to try and keep your own sanity by just saying, right, you know, I think 10 hours is a long day anyway. It's more than most people work. So for 10 hours, I'm like, my time now. Fuck off. You know.
What I really admire is your ability to manage a difference between your work life and your personal life, and being able to go away and come back fresh. And just wondering how that affects your creativity that next day, being able to come back in that little bit more fresh than what you would be if you're working.
Yeah, I think it's essential. You know, I can't work if I'm hungry. You know, so bands always laugh because I need to eat at certain times, and then I'm okay. You know, otherwise I'm ratty. You know, so I think that's important, and I think even more so if people are tired. You know, because I've been doing it a long time. I can work straight through 10 till 8. A lot of bands can't. They're exhausted. They're fast asleep on the settees and things like that. You know, just concentration is difficult. But yeah, if I just carried on till stupid o'clock every day, you end up just spoiling what you've done, because you can't tell clearly what you ought to be doing. You can't even, sometimes last thing at night, you can't even hear if the guitar's properly in tune, and you come back next day and think that's not in tune. So it's important to stop and to take breaks. And you know, bands I think panic because they're paying and things like that, but sometimes just rushing at everything doesn't get it done quicker, you know. So.
And what about like being able to free up on a bigger picture, be able to free up other time in your life for being able to do personal things, and they kind of coming back feeling a lot more happy about yourself, that you're not just in this constant work zone?
Yeah, well, I've done that, and I just feel blessed, I suppose, for that I have plenty of work on. You know, I never take it for granted. So you sort of feel good about yourself if you're busy, because it means you're in demand. But the other side of it is, you know, you've got to have a life. There's times when I'm working nearly every day in a month, and I get fed up because I'm thinking I've got nothing to show for this month apart from work. So, you know, this year in 2014, I made a conscious effort to try and work a bit less and do other things more. So, you know, it was a nice balance, and I enjoyed it.
But is it important for you to be able to manage a session in a certain way to you can kind of almost see these problems coming up before they've actually happened, and you to be able to be confident enough to like vocalize, look, this is going to happen in this way because this has to happen in this way because otherwise this is going to happen, and be able to manage yourself and that kind of thing that I'm talking about. I
mean, often, you know, if we're talking about problems, things like, you know, sometimes when you know, you get the band putting the guide tracks down, and you can think, oh God, he's not very good, or he's having no problem there. So you're making mental notes already. Or if there's a vibe between the band and you can think, oh, you know, that some people have a problem with other people being in the studio watching them and things like that. You know? So yeah,
but you can kind of spot them before they've even happened. It's like, well, often, come on, let's get some space for this
thing. You know, the great thing about the studio is I've got a spare room there that the band can hang in. So to be honest, if in doubt, I'll kind of sort of chuck them out because it only slows things down, forget chatting or messing about. So
I can remember like when I first met you, and like also when I first spoke to Marcus about the architect who designed the studio, and he says like we both said the idea of having this kind of separate room, this like kind of living room almost outside of the studio that people can like move to, is like being a lifesaver for you. And it's like,
absolutely,
absolute comfort.
I am a bit of a solo worker sometimes, and sometimes I just want to mess about with the track on my own, just sonically. I don't mean messing with the parts, just to try and get it sounding how I think it should sound. And I would rather do that on my own and then bring the band in and go, what do you think? Than just have them sat there all the time. And also, I think for a band, they come in with fresh ears because they haven't just been sat listening to it 1,000 times over and over that day like I have. So now, I couldn't work if the band were in all day. No normal person, apart from someone who does my job, listens to the same song over and over again all day. You could take your favourite record in the world. If you play it back to back all day, it will no longer be your favourite record. So sometimes if bands listen to it all day, one of two things happen. They can just get fed up with the whole track and think it's rubbish because they've just listened to it too many times. Or they just think it's fine and they have no critical ear on it anymore. So, this is why bands leave other studios and then they don't like it when they get it home because they were just sat all day listening to it and they had no concept of whether it was sounding right or not. So, I think it's good for the band as well to just try and I know it's hard for them because it's their own music, but to stay away from it and then come and listen to it with fresh ears like someone else would, and then say, "Oh, Matt, I think that sounds the vocals too loud," or something that might be glaringly obvious. Someone coming in with fresh ears. So, I think it's really important.
I know that you use references as much as like what I use references, and it's really important to you. Like if there were one thing that you could maybe pass down to someone that would just learn it, would it be to go along that line?
Well, it works for me. I know some people think the opposite, and they think if you keep listening to reference material, you'll lose your originality and you just make it sound like that. I don't find that. I often talk to the band at first and get a view of them of what they want the end product to sound like, and then I will try and find something that I think in that genre, in that vein, that I think sounds great. And then I don't mean listen to it constantly, but just refer to it every now and then and just check I'm there or there. That
you're in that same kind of ballpark.
And I think if someone was starting out, that's a good way to make sure you don't just waste hours and hours going down the wrong road with something. Just keep flicking back and just checking. You haven't lost the plot.
It could save you a lot of money by thinking that you're using the wrong kind of equipment. You need this better new flashy piece of equipment, when really all you need to do is just be able to compare your stuff to something else.
Oh yeah, people make fantastic records with very minimal equipment, and people make terrible records with shitloads of equipment. So the equipment's important, but not as important as the person. Judgment and taste, or ideas, and even to this day, technology can't provide that. You've got to do it.
I know that you've like laughed at me before when I've even mentioned like preamps and the differences between preamps, and you're just like, I can't tell. Is it like a similar kind of thing? It's just like, it doesn't matter what the equipment is. It's just how that.
I've done loads of A/B-ing of stuff, and lots of things that other people say matters, I don't think matters at all. And then other things I think matter loads.
What are those few things that?
Well, say guitarists are obsessed with guitar amps, and the different guitar amps. And I think the guitar amps are kind of, once you get a good one, of a certain quality, not much of a muchness. You could pretty much duplicate one with another. Whereas different cabs sound massively different. And I think if people put the time into buying the right cabs or a range of cabs, it would make more difference. It makes more difference to the sound swapping a cab than swapping an amp. If the amp's set similarly. And microphones, I think, make a massive difference. Moving the mic makes a massive difference. The preamp that the mic goes into, to me, is a negligible difference, as long as they're all, above a certain level of quality. And I really don't mind what I put it into. to be honest.
It's amazing. That's cool. I think like you've covered everything that I wanted to ask, and I just want to say thank you for doing this. And,
No problem.
Hope you enjoyed this one with Matt Elliss. I think whatever creativity is yours, we can value that bit of rest time in our hectic schedules. Implementing discipline goes a long way by increasing our productivity and, strangely enough, increases client comfort, which is kind of a counterintuitive one. I love the competition referencing bit, and the bit about equipment, yes. The skills are definitely more important than the tools. I'm glad Matt could find some time to share his pragmatic approach in being a creative. Check out the links below in the show notes. Find out more about Matt Elliss, and also check into what I'm doing with Endless Wave Dynamics. Thanks.